Princess of Darkness, Kelly Osbourne. Hair-raising funny man, Andy Zaltzman. And their team captain, Jason Manford. And facing them tonight, Pop Puppet, Alex Zane. Canada Dry, Stewart Francis. And their team captain, John Locke. Now, welcome your host, Jimmy Carr.
Hello and welcome to 8 out of 10 Cats, a show about opinion polls, surveys and statistics. Did you know, for example, on average in the Northern Hemisphere, January is the coldest month of the year. However, if you were in Australia, you'd be surrounded by twats. 30% of us refuse to sit on a public toilet seat, which is perhaps why there's shit all over the floor. And the longest kiss on record lasted 130 hours. I'd like to see two beautiful women try and beat that. Let's get started. What are you talking about? That's the name of our first round. We've teamed up with a leading polling organisation and they've asked the British nation what stories they've been talking about this week. It's our panellists' job to guess the British public's top 5 most popular talking points. Sean, your team to go first.
I think people have been talking about the story about Starbucks, that they leave a tap running in every single Starbucks all throughout the world. And apparently it's that the Starbucks excuse, because obviously it's caused shock and horror as a waste, Starbucks excuse is that it's for hygiene reasons, because they put the spoons in it. So although it's not very hygienic, a tap running, isn't it? Because it attracts cats to sort of pour it. They love pouring the tap water, don't they? How ill can you get from a teaspoon? Anyway, I've got teaspoons in my house. They're disgusting. They look like they've passed through a Shire horse. I'm fine. Do you think there's a special hospital ward with people who can just blink one eyelid because they had a dirty teaspoon?
I'll tell you how ill you can get. Have you seen Pete Doherty?
Yeah.
That's all from teaspoons.
I had a friend in high school whose mother found out she was doing drugs and she had antique spoons that she'd destroyed, and that was what she was more upset with than the fact that her daughter was doing heroin. That she ruined her antique spoons.
Her daughter was doing heroin. She's gone, you've cooked up in the good spoons.
Literally.
You're a disgrace.
Well, you can make a new daughter, but you'd have to buy a new spoon.
You said that, Andy, like you'd make one in a lab.
You look at Zaltzman, you think he might have made a kid in the lab.
I don't know how you can waste water. We've got the same amount of water as we've ever had. We're mostly water. The problem is it's in the wrong place. It's in Starbucks rather than Africa. That's the problem. The only people wasting water are people going into space when it don't come back. That's the only people wasting water. Damn you, Aldrin!
Did you know that Starbucks is an anagram of burst taps? It's not.
It's not.
I just like to cheat. Nobody really checks up on anagrams. They just assume you've done the work. They go, oh, really? Nobody goes, hold on a sec.
That is a shocking indictment on our studio audience that they went, yeah!
You go into Starbucks, they do the fair trade question now. They go, do you want that as a fair trade coffee? And who in that situation goes, no, I want the other one. I don't want the fair trade, I want the Exploito. Give me the Exploito. You know, I really want to hurt some farmers, make it massive, and put a picture of a crying child on it for me. That'd be lovely.
Let's see if Starbucks is one of those talked about things this week. Yes, Starbucks have been accused of wasting water by leaving taps constantly running. Starbucks have said the practice exists to exceed health and safety standards and they're working on an alternative solution as a priority. I've got a solution for you. What's that? And then that. Jason, Kelly, Andy, what else have the nation been talking about this week?
Andy?
Well, I think probably the American election has got the world really excited. Whoever wins on November the 4th, by virtue of following George W. Bush into the White House, they will seem to have been one of the 5 greatest presidents in American history. Following Bush into the White House is a bit like following Mozart in a triple jump competition. because no matter how bad you are, he's been dead since the 18th century.
Palin accused Barack Obama of, palling around with terrorists.
Yeah.
Then, ironically, she excused herself because she had a lunch date with George W. Bush.
It's a funny phrase, though, isn't it, that she was palling around with terrorists. He's got some very loose ties with a bloke who 40 years ago was part of an anti-Vietnam War demonstration.
What's wrong with that?
Well, he did bomb the Pentagon.
Oh.
Barack Obama is an anagram of Bomb America.
There's still a few at the back where it started.
But it might be. You don't know. You've got to check it.
Can I throw you a curveball with Sarah Palin?
Yeah, baby.
She is so evil, she's sexy.
Alex, who are you? Like, what goes on in your brain?
Once she's killed all the polar bears, I want her to walk up and down my back in those heels.
Do you have a girlfriend? No wonder.
It's like a chat room on Bebo. One of her main character traits they sell her on is the fact that she shot a bear. When has that been a good thing? Like, vote for me, I threw a brick at a swan. Vote for me, I put mustard on a cat's arse. I'd want to vote for someone who said, vote for me, I opened the window for flies.
I can tell you it's not one of the most talked about things this week. This is the story of mudslinging in the US election. Sarah Palin called Obama an embarrassment, which is the pot calling the kettle black, which thankfully she didn't say. Now, what else have the nation been talking about?
I think O.J. Simpson? Is it O.J. Simpson? He was convicted of kidnapping and...
2 memorabilia dealers.
And it doesn't look good. He was actually convicted, and they've got video. The prosecutors have video evidence against him. They have audio evidence against him. They've got numerous witnesses. I like his chances.
You think we're getting away with... you think we've been acquitted of murder. I think we got away with that. You would think, after that, you'd go, I'm going to keep my head down. You know what I mean? For a little bit.
Well, at least wear a balaclava. He goes up to 2 memorabilia dealers, holds them up, and they go, and when the police come, they go, yeah, it's him on that picture there, or any of the shirts that we sell.
Also, you just think about it, don't you? You think, what a country. Kill your wife, that's fine. Steal 2 signed footballs, life imprisonment.
Do people collect any of your bits and pieces, Jimmy? Do you have memorabilia? Did anyone collect anything of yours?
I think you should have a range of tabletop wargaming miniatures that all look like you.
Just use Lego men. Little Lego men.
Yeah, because they've got his haircut.
You can talk, you're copying my haircut.
Mine's hip. It's a bit Hoxton. There you go.
Literally, that's it. That's all.
50 quid says someone comes on now to sort it out.
I'll do it. It's all right. I'm professional. OK, shall we have a look and see whether OJ is one of the most talked about things this week? Yay! Incredibly, the second most talked about thing this week. This is the story that O.J. Simpson has been convicted of kidnap and armed robbery. On the plus side for O.J., at least the man who killed his wife is finally behind bars. OK, what else have the nation been talking about, Jason?
It's probably the economic crisis again. I don't know a lot about global economics.
No.
That sounds like the start of a song. I don't know much about global economics. I love you, baby.
They're sort of saying now that they're going to save the banks. £50 billion pounds they're going to save the banks, which is 1,600 quid to each of the taxpayers, right? That's how much it's going to cost us. And I thought to myself, surely they could do it, they could fix it with emergency tax, right? You remember when you, get a job, when you first start a job, and you get your paycheck and you go, you've been working your arse off all week, and they go, £12.40. You go, oh, where's the rest of my money? Oh, it's emergency tax, right? You can get it back in a few weeks or in April or something. Do that, but with those bankers who are getting away with £3 million severage pay, get them ringing the tax office next week going, hey, I'm supposed to have £3 million here, but I've only got £15. What's happened? It's emergency tax, knobhead. Deal with it.
It would work, yeah. Well, it would work.
We all knew deep down that this bubble of prosperity we've enjoyed in recent years would burst. And I hope we learn some lessons. I think there's some important lessons to be learned.
What have you learned?
Well, I think I've learnt from the subprime crisis that if you lend a lot of money to people who have no way of paying that money back, they might not pay that money back. So the kind of thing you can only learn that by trial and error.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the only way to learn.
The last time where the world experienced this was in 1929. There was a great crash. And the reason people don't really know much about it or the reasons behind it is because when you're at school, you learn about the Tudors. Which is very bleeding useful, isn't it? So you've lost your house or your savings, but if Henry VIII comes up in a pub quiz, watch me go to work.
Let's have a look and see whether the economy is one of the most talked about things this week. Of course it is. Yes, this is the ongoing story of the economic crisis. Pension funds have been hugely affected. Here's a message for people who are retiring in the next few weeks. You're not retiring. Things have got so bad, the property ladder is now a snake. Fingers on buzzers, what else have the nation been talking about? Jason.
Is it the cabinet reshuffle and the return of Mandelson? That's how you have to say it. Return of Mandelson.
See, I think Gordon Brown's furious. It's a typing error. He asked for Mandela. He thought, he'll make me look good. No way.
There's also speculation that Blunkett is going to go back to the cabinet room. He's not supposed to, it's just the dog keeps going there out of habit.
That's the interesting thing about it, is that term, reshuffle, suggests a very sort of random way of choosing people in government. Like, you just get to their cars, go, brrr, let's see who's going to be Transport Minister. Brrr. Ooh, Anton de Beck. In Home Office, Pelé. Who wouldn't want Pelé in their government?
OK, let's see if the reshuffle is one of the most talked about things this week. Yes, this is the story of the cabinet reshuffle resulting in the return of Peter Mandelson. Peter Mandelson's been brought back because of his expertise. Gordon Brown needs someone to resign. OK, got one more thing to get. Fingers on buzzers. Sean.
Is it Boris Johnson sacked Ian Blair, the head of the Metropolitan Police Commission? Which must be...
Forced his resignation, didn't actually sack him.
Well, yeah, pretty much.
But it is the same thing, absolutely, yeah.
Kind of sacked him, which is a very humiliating thing. He's been sacked by Boris Johnson. It's like being sacked by Coco the Clown. And also the fact that Boris has got...
I haven't said anything. I didn't say a word.
Just pick up your game, all right?
It's frightening to think now that Boris has actually got power. It's terrifying, isn't it?
When I came back, I thought it was one of the new characters on Little Britain with all the confidence. Well, that's great. I thought to myself.
Yeah. Should we have a look and see whether Sir Ian Blair is one of the most talked about things this week?
You betcha.
Yes, it is. Yes, this is the story. Britain's top policeman, Sir Ian Blair, has resigned. It is claimed Sir Ian was forced out of his job. Well, it could have been worse. He could have been forced to the floor of a tube train and repeatedly shot in the head. I can tell you, at the end of that round, Sean's team have 3 points, Jason's team have 2 points. Our next round is called Pick of the Polls. Jason, Kelly and Andy, your turn first. What do you like the look of?
Ooh. Well, we've got Jesus there. We're going to go with the big JC.
OK, in a poll to find the most famous person of all time, Jesus Christ, of Nazareth fame, came second. But who came first?
The only way this can stop us offending anyone is if number one is God. And number three is the Holy Spirit. That's the only way this is going to work.
Jimmy, where am I? Is it...
You are...
billion
in the world.
I moved up.
What about Michael Jackson?
Correct.
Is it real?
Wow. Genuinely, that is correct.
I only know that because my roommate's obsessed with Michael Jackson and he's the one that told me that.
Your roommate?
Yes.
You've got a roommate?
Yes, I do.
She's on day release.
No, I'm not on day release.
You on day release?
No, but there is a mental institution near where I live. They let people out on day releases.
There's a mental institution where you live?
Near where I live. And they let people out on day releases.
How's your dad?
Fine. Shut up.
Yeah, the most famous person of all time is Michael Jackson. Of course, Michael Jackson was most famous in the 1980s. Kids today might not know his music, but they could pick him out of a lineup. Because he's very recognisable. I used to love Michael Jackson, but now I just think he's a pale imitation of the man he used to be. What do you like the look of, Sean?
I like the Doctor.
OK, who would Brits prefer to live next door to, a doctor or a celebrity? What do you think?
Celebrity. We're all nosy bastards. I wouldn't know what they're doing.
You are a celebrity.
I'm a celebrity's daughter. It's different.
You're a celebrity in your own right now.
Why? Because I've had too many tantrums.
No, because you've had your own TV show. You're on TV right now.
You sound like her agent. You're a celebrity in your own right now. You really are.
No, really.
Believe. Now go and fly.
It depends, really, doesn't it, what celebrity and what doctor? Because if it was like a celebrity, it was like Andy, that'd be quite useful, wouldn't it? Every time you need a shelf or a door putting up or your radiator's bleeding, he'd be there for you. But if it was a doctor like Shipman, I might leave it.
I bet Handy Andy's sitting home going, I can't believe I got mentioned. Who would Brits prefer to live next door to, a doctor or a celebrity?
I wouldn't want to live next door to a doctor for reasons, because I don't like doctors. Fair enough, they save your life. I'll give them that. But they have that contemptuous look in their face, don't they? Like, I'm a doctor. What have you done with your life? You know? And now you're ill. You know, I don't like doctors. I think they're scum.
Sometimes they have to take your temperature like that, Sean. Get over it.
I've had the worst one. I've had the camera down the penis. I've had the
camera down the penis too.
Yeah.
Why would you need a camera up your willy?
Look, I'll show you. I'll show you.
I actually looked then, I couldn't stop looking.
Why does no one want to film the inside of my penis?
I know it sounds painful having a camera put in. This was all unpleasant, but this move...
What, with mine, they didn't do that with mine. They tied the end of it to an ambulance and waited for an emergency call. I pee now, it takes about half a second. It's just a big... It's like tipping a bucket of water out.
So, would you rather live next door to a doctor or a celebrity?
I think it's probably doctor. People would rather live next door.
I can tell you that 31% of homeowners would prefer to live next door to a doctor and just 5% wanted a celebrity. So if your neighbour was Gillian McKeith, then you'd be living next door to neither. Of course, Gillian McKeith isn't a real doctor. She's from You Are What You Eat. She ate a doctor. She thinks that's how it works. So at the end of that round, Sean, Alex and Stewart have 4 points, Jason, Kelly and Andy have 3 points. The next round is Believe It or Not. Let's have a look at a clip to illustrate your statistic.
This weekend in Sutton Coldfield there is the World Lola Balling Championship. The what? Well, I'll show you, because we've got on the Wider Weight Club the current world champion, American Tim Darlington.
Got to bear in mind, he's the world champion. He is the best at that.
I wonder if before the shoot he wondered if, do these shorts make me look stupid?
OK, so your related question is, more people would like to time travel to the 80s than the 60s. Is that true or false?
You could go back to Liverpool in the 60s, right? Go to the Cavern Club, dress as a gypsy, right? And then go up to Paul McCartney and go, beware of one-legged women. I think the thing about the 60s is everyone talks about you going back to the 60s. It's all, you know, it's either really cool and trendy or it's like Heartbeat. You know, the 60s is very sort of fluffy and lovely. And the 60s, you know, nothing really bad. They reversed into a lamb or a district nurse lost her bicycle pump. I'd go back to 1936, Nuremberg, right? And I put a banana skin on the stage. So, totally changed the course of human history. Hitler walks up to give his speech. Millions of Germans going, he's an idiot.
There's other people who would have taken over Hitler's job, though. If to get rid of Hitler, you know, Goebbels would have come in.
Not taking one banana back to 36. when Hitler goes, whoa! And then they go, right, Goebbels, I'll put another one down.
maybe in the future a time machine gets invented and you already have done that, and that's how they got the Nazi walk originally.
In fact-
right? Oh! They go like this. They go. Whoa!
Oh, yeah, no, I remember.
One time I came home from school, my dad was drunk in a Nazi outfit in the living room. So I was like, OK, see you later.
I was going to say, my dad read the paper and took the dog out last week. Just a less exciting life I've got.
Alex Zane, what would you choose, 60s or 80s?
Are we actually definitely talking about...
We're not definitely doing it. It's just a question.
Right. Is it the...
I know what you're thinking. Would my trousers be cool? Oh,
Oh, it's just... There's a lot to think about. I want to impress wherever I go.
I'd go back and I'd tell a school child me, right, and I'd tell him, listen, nobody knows you had that fight with Kevin Sanderson. Nobody cares.
Did you have a fight with Kevin Sanderson?
I battered him.
You're off this show. Get off. OK, so the question again, more people would rather go back to the 80s than the 60s.
True. We're going to go true.
You're going true?
Different.
You're going false? I can tell you the answer is false. Yeah, more people wanted to go back to the 60s. If I could time travel, I'd go back to 2008, when I was a humble TV presenter, before the war, before the machines, before I got it together with Sarah Connor. So at the end of that round, it's 5 points for Sean's team and 3 points to Jason's team. And the winner is the name of our final round. Here is your first one. Most embarrassing thing about parents.
Having them.
What's the most embarrassing thing they've done?
I think it was like my 5th birthday. My dad locked all of us into a garden shed and then put the werewolf outfit from Bark at the Moon on and ran around the shed, and all the kids cried and went home.
My dad makes tea every night.
It's another vintage anecdote from the Zaltzman household.
The most embarrassing thing my dad does is in restaurants with that chip and pin machine. What he does when it comes over, he likes to go, oh, yeah, all right. Hello.
Hello. It's hearing them have sex and seeing a group of strangers standing around the car.
I recognise that car. Hang on.
My dad's not very embarrassing. The only thing he does is he likes arguing with people. He really likes arguing with people in shops or restaurants. I once had an argument when I was a kid in a fruit and veg shop because the way the bloke put the celery into the bag. He shoved it in. You know, you'd shove it in from the bottom, from like the root of the celery, put it in like that. The bloke put it in that way. My dad said, well, it's ruined now, isn't it? He said, you've ruined it. You've probably bruised some of the apples and things. He said, I'll tell you what you do with your bag of fruit and veg. He just tipped it all out over the floor. I went, there you go. What do you think of that? And just walked out. And then, of course, we all got scurvy.
Is it your mum getting angry about the amount of times you use a door in a day? There's like a cut-off point with mums where there's like, you're not allowed to use the door. They don't tell you how many times you're allowed to use the door. But at some point in the day, you'll have used it too many times. You'll just hear, right, that's it now. You're either in or you're out.
Is it taste in music?
That is the correct answer. The most embarrassing thing about parents is their taste in music. My mum's got her finger on the pulse. Dad keeps on having heart attacks. OK, Britain's top fear.
Is it the internet breaking and us all after doing a bit of work? There'll be no Wikipedia, no Facebook, no sexymilfs.com.
Is it finding yourself sitting in a comfy armchair, your partner to one side of you, and then suddenly Jeremy Kyle's there asking you a question?
I think people are most afraid of spiders.
Is the correct answer.
Is it? Yeah.
Yes, correct answer. Yes, Britain's top fear is spiders. Don't worry about spiders. What's the worst that could happen? You could swallow one. Not a problem. Swallow a bird. I know it sounds absurd, but then you could swallow a cat. Fancy that? Well, that sound tells me it's the end of the round and the end of the show, which means the final scores are Sean, Alex and Stewart have 6 points, Jason, Kelly and Andy have 4 points. Thanks to all our panellists, our wonderful studio audience, and to all of you for watching at home. That's it from us. Good night.